OK, here we go. We've got breaking news. We have got news coming out of Rangers. And look at the bottom of your screen right now. Aston Villa appoints Steven Gerrard, it says, in the last couple of moments. Rangers have released this statement. It starts with the simple sentence, Rangers can today announce the departure of manager Steven Gerrard to Aston Villa. It goes on to say, Gerrard moves to the Midlands club, having played a key role in the significant growth of the Light Blues in numerous areas during his 3.5 years at Ibrox. Rangers now has an outstanding, highly competitive playing squad, which is capable of both winning and entertaining on all fronts, with the highest of standards now also prevalent throughout the football department. It goes on to say, in European competition, Rangers have qualified for group stage football for 4 successive seasons and knockout stage football in the last 2, improving not only the club's standing on the continent, but also that of Scottish football. Domestically, Rangers have flourished under Gerrard, with that work culminating in the club claiming their 55th title last season on the back of an unbeaten league campaign. He now leaves Rangers with the club top of the Scottish Premiership, with a Premier Sports Cup semi-final to look forward to and the opportunity to qualify yet again for the knockout stages of the European League, still in the team's own hands. There's a few other comments in there. The Rangers chairman, by the way, Douglas Park, if you're wondering where the thanks come from, it comes from him. He says, I would firstly like to put on record my thanks to Steven for his outstanding efforts over the last 3.5 years at Rangers. Almost simultaneously, such is the wonder of modern technology, Aston Villa have released a statement as well this morning. Let's go live to Villa Park. Rob Dorset is there for us. Rob.
Yes, it's strange how the clubs coordinate these statements, isn't it, Rob? But I can tell you there's a statement from Steven Gerrard that Aston Villa have just put out, and I'll read that to you now. Aston Villa, Gerrard says, is a club with a rich history and tradition in English football, and I'm immensely proud to become its new head coach. In my conversations with Nassif and Wes of Aston Villa and the rest of the board, it was apparent how ambitious their plans are for the club, and I'm looking forward to helping them achieve their aims. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to everybody associated with Glasgow Rangers for giving me the opportunity to manage such an iconic football club. Helping them secure a record-breaking 55th league title will always hold a special place in my heart. I would like to wish the players, the staff and supporters the very best for the future. That's what Steven Gerrard has to say. Rob, I can tell you it's actually a 3.5-year contract that Steven Gerrard has signed as Aston Villa manager. We thought it might be a 2.5-year deal. I can tell you it's a 3.5-year contract. The compensation that Villa have paid Rangers is between £3 and £4 million, and it involves Gary McAllister, who is his assistant manager at Ibrox, coming with him here to Villa Park. Of course, McAllister has been at Villa Park before. He was assistant under Gerard Houllier a few years back under the stewardship of Randy Lerner. And we've got some quotes as well from the Villa chief executive, Christian Purslow, explaining why Villa have decided that Gerrard is the man to take them forward. He says, the board of Aston Villa are delighted to appoint Steven as our new head coach. Since moving into coaching after his illustrious playing career, Steven began by managing and developing top young players with the Liverpool Academy. That's an experience we value highly at Aston Villa. He then took the brave decision to test himself in the intense and high-pressured environment of the Scottish Old Firm. His subsequent achievement in winning the Premiership title with Rangers really caught our eye, as did his experience in Europe. It has been very clear in our discussions with him that Steven's coaching ambitions, his philosophy and values entirely match those of Aston Villa. We're excited he has agreed to lead us in the next phase of our ambitious plans as we look to build on the progress made since Nassif Sawiris and Wes Edens took over the club in 2018. That's the statement from Chief Executive Christian Purslow here. And so, of course, this is a huge, huge story, Rob, not just for Aston Villa, but for Rangers as well, because where do they go from here? If you look at their upcoming fixtures. They've got a League Cup semi-final against Hibs a week on Sunday. They're still challenging in the Europa League as well, and they're 4 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership. So as big a story this is for Aston Villa, it's just as big for Rangers, and it solves the immediate future for Aston Villa. It keeps an awful lot of questions for Rangers. In terms of, briefly, I'll just tell you the challenge that Gerrard has got here with Aston Villa. You heard him talk there about the ambition and expectations of the American owners. Well, they expect to be in the top half of the Premier League and challenging for Europe and titles on a regular basis. That's the target that will have been set for Steven Gerrard, and he takes over an Aston Villa side that are 16th right now, 2 points above the relegation places, 5 straight defeats in the Premier League. It's a big, big challenge, isn't it? But there will be money to spend. Before they sold Jack Grealish, Aston Villa were actually the club who'd had the biggest net spend on transfers in the whole of Europe, ahead of the likes of Manchester United, Manchester City, PSG, Real Madrid. Of course, they sold Grealish, brought £100 million in, and that changed things. But Dean Smith still spent £85 million on players in the summer, bringing in the likes of Emu Buendia, Leon Bailey and Danny Ings. There will be money for Steven Gerrard to spend and strengthen this squad so that they can try and match those ambitions for Aston Villa and the owners. They want them in the top half of the Premier League and challenging for Europe.
OK, just explain to us, for those perhaps who have been caught up away from this, it started Sunday. It seemed like a slow burner, but I get the feeling behind the scenes there was frantic negotiations going on. Do you get the sense that Gerrard was their one and only target?
I don't think he was, no, and I think you have to say, my understanding was that Aston Villa were going to do due diligence here. It's their first major appointment since the American owners bought Aston Villa, and they wanted to check out exactly what was available. I know they looked at Roberto Martinez, the Belgium head coach. I know that Kasper Hjulmand, the Denmark coach, was also on their shortlist, and it was down to Johan Lang, the Aston Villa sporting director, to assess all of those options and decide who the best candidate was, put that forward to the board for them to then make a decision. But I think what you have to remember here is the relationship between Christian Purslow and Steven Gerrard. The two men had dinner in London last night where the final details of this contract were thrashed out, I understand, and Purslow worked very closely with Steven Gerrard when he was still a player, because Purslow was managing director of Liverpool from 2009, and the two men became quite close then. Even in that stage of Steven Gerrard's career, he'd made it clear that he wanted to go into management. Christian Purslow clearly thought that he had all the attributes to make him a good manager, and so they've taken this decision, Aston Villa, I think, looking at all of the possibilities of who they might be able to attract, but deciding that Steven Gerrard is the best candidate going forward. There have been a number of Aston Villa fans who've said to me, look, he's never managed in England, never mind the Premier League, this is going to be a big test for him. But I'm sure Villa and Purslow would say this is a man who knows the Premier League so well. I mean, what a huge figure in football Steven Gerrard is. If you look at what he's won in the game, it's quite extraordinary. 17 seasons at Anfield. He won 2 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, the Champions League, the UEFA Cup, the Community Shield and the UEFA Super Cup. He won 114 England caps. We no doubt that he was an absolute elite player in his time there. As a manager, his record isn't perhaps as hot as some people might think. Yes, he won the Scottish Premiership title in March with Rangers without losing a single game. That's an extraordinary achievement. But again, his critics will point out there were 9 domestic titles he could have won in his 3 years at Rangers, and that's the only one that he won. Of course, it was the most important as far as Rangers and Celtic fans were concerned, because it stopped Celtic winning 10 Premiership titles in a row. It was an iconic victory, and Gerrard himself this morning has spoken about how special that is. But I think he would be the first to admit that he's got a lot to learn in management, certainly a lot to learn as a manager in England. He's never managed in the Premier League, and he's doing it at a huge football club, one with huge ambitions. Aston Villa expect to be challenging at the top end of the Premier League. They're miles away from that now, 16th in the Premier League, 2 points from the relegation places. So a big, big challenge for Steven Gerrard. A bit of a risk, I think you have to say, from Aston Villa's perspective, but a risk that the chief executive, Christian Purslow, has taken very knowingly, because he knows the man incredibly well.
Yeah, there's the links with Christian Purslow. There's also the links with Gary McAllister, of course, and Aston Villa, an assistant there and a caretaker there, and perhaps that guiding hand as well for Steven Gerrard. How key is that?
I think that's huge. Yeah, the fact that Gary McAllister is coming back with Steven Gerrard is huge news. Of course, Aston Villa fans know him very well because he was assistant manager with Gerard Houllier in a previous time here. So he knows Villa Park and the setup very, very well. I don't think we should underestimate the importance of Michael Beale in Gerrard's coaching staff as well. We fully expect him to join Gerrard here. It's part of the £3 to £4 million compensation package, I understand. And Michael Beale is Rangers' first team coach, and he's really been a huge tactician and an important tactical support for Steven Gerrard. He does an awful lot of work with the players on the training field, I'm told. So the fact that it's Michael Beale and Gary McAllister that are coming with him to Aston Villa, we wait for official confirmation, of course, that those two are going to be here, but I understand they will be part of Gerrard's backroom staff. That's big. That's big because he has the support network around him, then Steven Gerrard. He has familiar faces, people he knows and trusts that work with him very, very effectively and helped deliver that huge success in Scotland with the Scottish Premiership title. So, yes, that's key. It's key for Aston Villa, and it's the way of the world these days, isn't it? In top-level football management, managers tend to come as a package with their staff around them. Expect exactly the same thing to happen with Steven Gerrard here at Aston Villa.